into YouTube. Might work.
Oh, it even told me that we're now live.
Apparently we're live. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we are live.
We'll see.
I don't know if it's live on here.
We'll see. We're going to give it 30 seconds and we'll see. So hello, anyone who's instantaneously joined us live.
It's live. I can see it.
We're in negative live time at the moment. So
yeah, we can't swear or do anything silly now, can we? Well, we probably can. It's after 8 o'clock.
We're past the watershed. We can. Oh, we are live.
Yeah, we are live, and I can see the chat there as well. So
and now
good.
I'm about to give us a heap of feedback.
Awesome.
Let's get rid of that. There we go.
Rookie hour. Here we come.
Hello, everyone, and welcome down to our live Christmas show. It is episode number 24, I believe, which is quite an achievement in itself. I suppose I should do what I normally do at this point and say hello to my good friend down in Hobart Town, Cam Blake. Oh, hang on, before I do that.
There's more.
I'm Brendan Waits.
Hey?
And my good friend down in Hobart Town, this is going to be seamless tonight, I can tell. We're just all over it. And my good friend down in Hobart Town joins us. It's Cam Blake. Hello, Cameron.
Hello, Brendan. Thank you for introducing yourself and myself. I think people might know who we are by now. I'm not too sure, but
people watching this live show probably should know who we are. And I can see we have already had we've got a few people who have joined us already. So if you've joined us live, please leave a little comment just to make sure that you can hear us okay, because we really don't know if you can hear us, or I could be speaking right now and you can't even hear what I'm saying. But if you can just leave a little comment to say g'day, that would be awesome. What we thought we would do is put out a live show because it is December and this guy right here, me, has been absolutely flat out busy for the last couple of weeks. So that's why you haven't seen us pop up in your live stream, in your podcast list or anything like that, or on our YouTube. So sorry, pretty much my fault.
You keep saying you're too busy for our audience. It's incredible. Like, surely our audience comes before making a living.
Yes, absolutely. You both look amazing. Thank you, Matthew Stevens, and loud and clear. Thank you, Andrew Thompson. I appreciate that.
It sounds like they're sucking up for some free prizes or something, doesn't it? You look great. You look great and sound fantastic. Yeah. Can we have a prize?
This is how busy I've been. We haven't even thought about anything like that. But you know what? This is the beauty of a live show.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will work it out.
I've got some stuff I can give away throughout the show. I don't know how we're going to give it away or what's going to qualify for someone getting some free stuff, but we'll make it work.
We'll work it out, I'm sure.
Hi, Tanina. Thanks for joining. Tanina's just said hello. I was talking to her on the phone the other day. She's coming down the Franklin River next year.
Oh, Tanina. Give it up for Tanina, everybody.
Yeah, and she's not on her own. There's a few others coming, but
okay.
God help them. No, it's all fine. It's a safe trip. You won't have any problems. You're in safe hands. Yeah,
what could possibly go wrong?
Just stay in the
guy
boat.
Wearing a hat that says "Make Christmas Great Again."
Yeah. Well, I was going to wear this one. I had this to wear.
Oh,
but it kept getting, like, the background kept getting mixed in the background. So
well, you are way more festive than me, my friend. But I'm sorry that I am not overly festive in my background. You currently find me, as always, in my back shed that is now full. I know you can't see it because I've put a background up. Is absolutely loaded to the brim with canvas stretcher bars, canvas timber frames, and frames.
It is chock-a-block.
If I didn't have these things in, they would literally be coming out of my ears.
Yeah, that's good though. It's good that everyone's sort of back on track a bit and retail's going, and people are getting a bit of confidence about getting back out shopping. We went out and did a bit of Christmas shopping today and around Hobart, and there was plenty of people around and people looking pretty happy and, you know, checking in and washing their hands and things like that.
Yeah. No, it does have a vibe that things are swinging back into some kind of normality. We still have to mask up in small retail in Victoria, so that's getting a bit tiresome. But it is what it is. We're used to it now. So, and as a good little segue, speaking of retail, I love your background, Cam.
Good, isn't it? It's not bad.
It is.
This is our gallery. I put up some tinsel the other day. Look at that. So this is the gallery out of Richmond. That's been going pretty well. We've been getting a steady flow of people through most days, which is good. Luke O'Brien and myself have been manning the gallery on the weekends for a few hours here and there. Went out there today. There was a few people coming through. Had a good chat to a few people, and It's good. It's actually just nice to talk to people in person about, no, not necessarily photography, but just Tasmania and where we've been and places that people have been. There's been a lot of Tasmanians who have come in and looked at this photo and said, "Oh, I've never actually been there to Cradle Mountain. It's a bit too far for some of them. It's only 3 hours. It's only 3 hours up the road." But yeah, it's been good. So we're enjoying it. So it's working well at the moment. Yeah.
That's good, mate. That's awesome. Same thing with camera and photo. We're as already mentioned, we are in the throes of Christmas time and retail. So you'd think, like, this is my 9th Christmas as owning my own business. You'd think I'd be used to it by now, but you never quite get used to it. It's
No.
It really goes ballistic. Regularly in December, we will do 4 to 5 times a normal month. And when it's mostly little old me trying to crank that work out, the term burning a candle at both ends comes into play.
Is there some way, I was talking about canvases that you were talking about? Well, I was talking to Luke, the other guy from the gallery, about canvases today and the canvas bars you're talking about. Can you pre-make them throughout the year? And just say, oh, I've got, 50 of this size, 50 that size ready to go. Is that what you do? Or do you?
Yeah, generally speaking, we do try and stay ahead of it, and I do stockpile, but I never get the numbers right. So, and the reason you don't is because it's a trend thing, because the different sizes, are hot at different times. What's been really popular this year is the framed canvas. So we do a canvas print, and then we put a frame around that. So we leave a 5 mil space, and we put like a floating frame.
Yeah,
they've really taken off this year. My poor framer, hi Chris, I know you're not watching, but hi anyway. I talk about burning the candle at both ends. This guy is an absolute machine. He's similar to me, got a young family. He runs his own business, and just unbelievable what he does in December. The amount of work he cranks out. And of course, there's been a few delays with timber supplies and the like.
So you try and get a stockpile, but obviously it makes it pretty hard if you don't get it right. But at least you got you got a bit of a head start each year. Because
it's not like I have to burn them. Like I'll still use it.
That's right.
All the stock. But
that's true.
it's always but I print on demand, right? So people come in and they order their prints. So I never know exactly what's going to come. Hopefully a lot, because that's what I'm here for. Let's be honest. So hopefully we get a fair bit of work. But now, just speaking of our live feed that we're seeing, and thanks for the comments so far. If you've got a question for us, this is a predominantly landscape photography driven show. So if you've got a question for us, by all means, fire away. You might have gone out recently to take some photos and stuffed it all up. You might have gone out and taken an absolute cracking photo. I don't think you can leave a photo comment, can you?
I don't know. They could leave a link or something.
They could try.
Yeah.
But we're happy to talk, answer questions live.
Yeah, absolutely. The more questions, the better this show will probably go, because I'm on a couple of beers. I don't know how many beers you're in, but
I've had a busy afternoon stretching canvas, but at about,
didn't you go to a pool?
That got canned. We got shuffled down because they were double booked. How do you like that?
Double booked.
And I was meant to go to the beach, but that didn't happen either because I was too busy.
Right.
So at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, I got the barbie going and had a couple of beers with the fam. Well, I had a couple of beers. The family didn't.
So your kids are drinking now. That's good.
My daughter's not far off, mate. It's
it's scary.
Ridiculous.
So Matthew has asked where our favourite spot to shoot is. Well, we're going to sort of touch on a few of our favourite shots this year. So stay tuned, Matthew. We'll probably hit on that where we've been throughout the year. I actually got up this morning with my good friend Chelsea and went up Mount Wellington for a sunrise.
Fantastic.
And it was pretty boring. Didn't happen. It didn't fire off. It was a little bit overcast. So talking about, where do we like to go and take photos? Well, Mount Wellington's not my favourite spot. I've been up there 1,000 times and only just got a few good shots that I'm happy with. So, I was up at 4 o'clock, in the car at 4:30, up the mountain by 5, and it was just cloudy. There's a little bit of colour, but it just wasn't one of those cracking sunrises that you want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for.
Yeah, which is the beauty of it, right? Because, and I talk about this a lot in my workshops, which we'll touch on as well. It's like, I use the analogy of fishing, right? You can have all the right gear, you can have all the best bait in the world, you can even go to the best spot. But if the fish don't turn up, you don't catch anything. So, but if you don't go, you're certainly not going to get it. So it's like
the old Northern Territory slogan: if you never know, you'll never go, or never go, you never know. Which one was it? If you never go, you never know.
Yeah. Certainly a lot sort of cleaner than the "See you in the NT" slogan.
I love that. I've got one of their hats. I should have worn it today. I wore it. I actually wore it to my old work. For those who knew where I used to work, on a free dress day, I wore it to work, and it was told to be taken off and put away straight away.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Anyway,
So, if you had one last shoot in you, and you were guaranteed of perfect conditions, where would you go?
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. That's a question without notice.
I reckon if I had unlimited funds, unlimited access, and it was going to be perfect, and it was the last shoot I was ever going to do, I'd be in a spaceship. I'd be taking a shot.
I did say on Earth.
Oh, it has to be. Okay, I have to be on the plane. Okay. I would say then, that's a really tricky one. It could be anywhere.
So you've obviously got you've got places on your bucket list that you want to go and shoot. I mean, I'm sure there's people around that would have got Tasmania on their bucket list, and my neck of the woods, the Great Ocean Road, on their bucket list. So
absolutely, I think if you said where in Australia could I go and shoot?
Let's narrow it down.
That might. I think I'd love to go to Lord Howe Island. I still want to get to Lord Howe Island, and I've never been to Uluru either. So I'd like to do something like Lord Howe Island, or something like the Kimberleys or Uluru out the back somewhere. I think I've said it before a couple of times on the show that I feel like I haven't explored my own backyard very well, and I do lots of mountains and rivers and not much coastal stuff. I really need to sort of expand, which next year I'm going to try and do. But getting out to that sort of outback Australia, Kimberleys, Northern Territory, just that beautiful color that we have in the rocks and the sand and all that kind of stuff.
The red earth.
And it doesn't, I don't know, like there's probably a few people listening that have been around there quite a few times, but it just doesn't seem like you can take a shitty photo out there. It's just if you're there at the right time of day, morning or afternoon, there's always, the light always seems to be, nice. It's it just seems to be one of those spots where you can pull out good shots all the time. So that'd be me. Yeah.
I did a trip there in the late 90s, and boy, do I wish I knew then what I know now. I wish I knew now what you know what I mean? I was still pretty inexperienced behind the camera, and and film. It was all shooting film.
Yeah.
And I still, like, literally, you can close your eyes and go snap. Like, it's nuts. The compositions make themselves. The red earth and the blue sky contrast is nuts, and you can shoot during the middle of the day. It's very, very cool. Jesse says, I'd want to be in a mountain ash forest somewhere. Well, that's hard to beat. Nice. True, yes.
I'll tell you what is a cracking spot, Jesse, and you've probably been there. But the Black Spur out of Healesville.
Just over that way.
It is it's only a 10, 20K drive through that Black Spur forest, but it is a cracking set of shots through there. And the only thing with it is that you don't get too many spots to pull over on the side of the road and take a shot. You've got to be a little bit risky and pull over and be one of those people, that stands in the middle of the road and takes the photo. But
you got to be that guy.
Yeah, like we've, arguably we've got some of the best forest in the world down here for photography. But every time I go through that Black Spur Road on the right conditions where it's a bit misty and moody, you just get your jaw drops as you're driving along. You're like, this place, and the big man ferns and the trees and the road, everything just works in that section. And my cousin lives out that way. He lives up in King Lake. Shout out to Dan, who probably never listens to this, but every time I go up there, if I can sometimes wiggle my way back to come back through that way, I'll go through the back roads and get there. So if you haven't been there, Jesse, get up to the Black Spur out of the Healesville. It's a cracking spot for forests. It's really nice.
No, for sure. And you're right. It's that old thing, isn't it, where we love where we live, but we don't tend to explore our own backyard enough. And we're lucky enough to live in a country that's just endless in terms of photographic opportunities. Like, it's a big old country.
It is a big old country. Jesse just said that they live just down the road from there. Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Even easier. You've probably been there 1,000 times then.
shout out to Mel. G'day, Mel. I can see you saying, "Hey, gents," there.
Yeah.
I had a chat with Mel last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did he have a t-shirt on at any time, or any sort of special attire?
He was on the blower. I didn't sort of see him, I'm afraid, but we got a nice print done for Mel, and Mel liked it. A couple more prints coming your way as well, Mel. Just PS.
Cool.
So I wanted to talk a bit tonight about the podcast and sort of, I guess, reflect a bit on what it's meant for me personally, and I'm sure you as well, Cam. We started this thing really because the pandemic was in its throes, and Victoria in particular was locked down to the hilt, and it was horrible. It was a real negative sort of vibe around, and Cam, in a small window of opportunity, Cam came up from Tasmania, and we had a little beer in the backyard here, and a bit of a talk about what we would like to do to maybe change a bit of that attitude, a bit of that sort of vibe that was going on. And we hatched the plan to launch the podcast, and we just, we just went ahead and did it.
There was minimal planning, wasn't there?
Very little planning. And I think I think that's, and we've got 225 subscribers. That's nothing to be sneezed at in the first 20 episodes.
That's really good. Yeah.
If nothing else, it's been good for me because it's a new challenge. It's a different direction. It's been it's generated some new customers for me.
Perfect.
From all over Australia, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really like that. That side of things has happened. But I think overall, though, it's been good to catch up with Cam every week because this is the most we've seen of each other in our entire lives, which is irony in that because we don't actually we're not even in the same room together. So
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And I was thinking that the other day. Well, actually, it was just before when you were talking about Christmas time. The best time about Christmas retail was the Camera Action Camera House Christmas party. Like the amount
of very conversation with the guy last night who works in retail in Geelong, and how much fun they were.
So for those who maybe not know the background of Brendan and I, we used to work together at Camera Action Camera House in Elizabeth Street, Melbourne for. I was a good few years together. I can't remember, a couple of years. And I was there for about 6 years. I think you ended up being there for about the same in total.
No, I was only there for a couple of years, but they were a couple of very good years.
Yeah, but they used to throw the most incredible parties for Christmas. So they had all the Nikon reps, the Canon reps, the Olympus reps, all the reps used to come along, and it was almost a limitless event. It got really, really messy. But I remember that working in that camera house in Christmas was like. It was like going to a UFC fight every day, going to that shop. It was just a cage with customers and people. Like there was no COVID rules in there. It was like a dance floor at a nightclub.
Yeah, it was.
And you come out at the end of the day and you'd smell and you'd stink and you'd sold thousands of dollars worth of gear. And you get on the train. I remember I used to get on the train on the way home. Like, I'm over this job. This is killing me. But like, I've only got 2 more weeks to this Christmas party. If I can hold out to then, I'm good to go. And if you're unlucky, you got the morning shift after the Christmas party. And it was a very messy morning in that camera house. People sleeping upstairs who just came straight to work afterwards. But it used to be an absolute nightmare. But I must admit that part of retail was fun. There was that camaraderie in the group and, people getting together and sort of working together to sell cameras and trying to make people's Christmas happy and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's great to hear that your shop's going well. And like I said, our gallery's going pretty well. And it's good to see people and talk to people and just have a chat about life, as they pass through.
Yeah, just going back to the days at Camera Action, you summed it up perfectly. It did feel like a UFC fight.
It was crazy.
The one thing that's never left me is the noise, the sound, because you were yelling over the top of other salespeople.
Yeah.
Now, I reckon that shop, if it was 15 meters deep, tops?
Yeah, 15 by 3, 15 by 4 meters, maybe. It wasn't much.
No, I'd say 15 by 5.
Right.
I reckon. But you think about that, 15 by 5, that's a tiny retail space.
And how many staff do they have?
At any one time, minimum 16 staff on the floor.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
But quite often it'd be 20 plus.
Well, they had at the back, if you're behind the scenes, they put the call through the PA. All staff to the floor, please. All staff to the floor. And it go from 16 to 40 staff on the floor. It was just nuts.
It felt like Wall Street at times. It was it was crazy. But that was that was when digital just took off. It was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was obviously before Amazon and before, internet sales were in its infancy.
Yeah.
We weren't battling against online pricing. You had to go to a shop. You remember those days, folks?
Yeah. The one thing I remember that you're talking about sounds of that shop, the one thing that always literally rings a bell in my head, is when the trams used to run into the people doing the illegal hook turns. The amount of cars that got cleaned up by the trams in Melbourne doing illegal hook turns, you hear this ding, 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 smash. And everyone would be out the front of the shop, and it'd be some poor bastard in a car around the wrong way.
And we'd all be like, what part of the 11-ton tram didn't you see?
What part of it didn't you understand? It was just nuts. But yeah, it's
those were the days.
Those were the days. But like you said as well, like this show, like we put it together in 3 seconds, and I think we spent even less time tonight putting it together. But like we used to work together, and we played a lot of golf together. We played indoor cricket together. Our families are fairly close and things like that. So it is great to catch up with a mate every week, especially in today's day and age. And it's been great to bring other people that we know and don't know into our little world as well. So for all the people that have subscribed, it's awesome to have you here. And like I said, I've made some new friends, made some new contacts, got some new customers. Customers that come on my workshops generally get off the workshop and start listening to our podcast. And so shout out to Michelle. I hope Michelle's feeling better. She came down the Franklin River. For those who watched the previous episode, there's a story. There's a story in there that may or may not relate to Michelle. I don't want to name names, but helicopter.
And we're live.
Can't edit that one out. I'm sorry. But Michelle's a great sport. I'm sure she's not sitting there shaking her head at me at the screen.
Not at all. Good on you, Michelle.
You
touched briefly there on your workshops, and last month I relaunched my in-store workshops, and geez, it was good. It was so good to be back teaching people photography again. My workshops are a lot different to what Cam offers. I don't do a lot of stuff at this point out on site. A lot of my stuff is based in my shop, and we run literally like a 90-minute to 2-hour workshop, which is like an entry-level workshop, and I love it because there are people who have owned a digital SLR or a good high-end mirrorless camera, for example, but really don't know what they're doing with it. So I bring them into the shop, and we sit them down and work through the real basics, and I love it. I think I get a real kick out of teaching because I love the penny drop moment when they go, aha. Right. Okay.
That's the on switch. Right. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's where the memory card goes. Oh, right. Yeah.
That's where the battery
memory.
Is.
What?
Yeah.
Where does the film go?
Yeah.
So
I actually that's a joke I use in my workshops a fair bit though. Is when I've done it on a few weddings as well, and so the look on the bride's face, it's not like, oh, hang on a sec, guys, I've just forgot to put film in the camera. They're like, what? I'm like, it just gets them that little split-second heart attack.
Yeah,
and
good little icebreaker.
It is. It's just like, okay, well, gotcha. You weren't paying attention. That's awesome about the entry ones. How many? Good. Do you have to cap them at numbers in your shop, or?
Yeah. So at the moment, previously I was capping them at 8 customers anyway per workshop. Now it's 6, and to be honest, I think 6 works better.
Yeah.
Because we only have 90 minutes, 2 hours at any one time. With 6 people, I get to each person individually. There's a lot of sort of personalized.
Yeah.
It's a personalized workshop, really, and like half the room is going to have Nikon, half the room is going to have Canon. Yeah. Maybe.
We don't. It's not sponsored by Canon.
Some people have got OM system cameras.
Smart people have their own system cameras.
Absolutely. The basic operation of a camera, it'd be a mirrorless or digital SLR, they're all the same. They're like cars. They get you from point A to point B. They just have a slightly different look and feel about them.
Yeah.
But the physics behind actually capturing the photo doesn't change. So that's where But what I was going to mention was, and a little bit of a plug for myself, is in come January, all my workshops will be back, which is the entry-level workshop I've just spoken of, the intermediate workshop, which is really entry-level part 2. And then we do our landscapes and seascapes workshop, which is basically an hour in my store. And then we head out to that spot right behind me there, down at Ocean Grove Beach. Well, that's where one of the spots we get to. and we try and time it to be down there for sunset. And we talk a lot about composition and that sort of stuff. So if you're in Victoria, I'm sure you could pop on down to Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, and we can. Have we got a workshop for you?
Hey, I need to make an announcement. Ash Hughes has just joined the live chat.
Wow. Royalty has entered the building, people. Yeah,
I know. I feel like I'm shrinking in my chair already. I feel like I'm just shrinking in status.
If you are a regular listener to our podcast, you will know that Ash Hughes joined us on episode 22. So just recently, a couple of episodes ago, when our good friend Cam here was rafting himself down the Franklin. Ash stepped up to the plate, and did he knock it out of the park or what?
He grand slammed it.
He sure did.
Yeah.
And I am very grateful for Ash, because he has been sending me a bit of work as well during the Christmas period. So
good.
Got to look after your your customers. So
absolutely.
Thank you, Ash. I've been doing a lot of big canvas prints for Ash.
That's good.
AshHughesPhotos.com.
Yes,
I reckon. So
and while we're plugging people's work.
Yes.
How about people plug their own work in the chat? If you've got a website with your work on it, or an Instagram account, or a handle, whatever that means, an @ sign or a hash, whatever, chuck it in the comments so people can go follow people's work, because we're all here for the same reason, which is landscape photography. I know there's a few on there that I follow already. So if you've got a handle for Instagram or a Facebook page or website, chuck it up so others can go check your work out. And who knows, you might make more friends as well.
No, it's always good. It's a big happy family, the Down South Photo Show. So
it is
join up, connect, network, as we say. So that's enough about sort of explaining why we're here and all that sort of stuff, because we've already been going for like half an hour. So hi to everyone who's just joined the chat recently. What I thought we might do for the next sort of 10, 15 minutes is, if Cam's got the technical know-how, we're going to try and throw some photos up on the screen.
Are we?
And well, possibly.
Right, yeah.
And I just thought Cam and I would talk about our three favorite or three photos that we've taken through 2021 that spun our wheels a wee bit, that we liked taking, and maybe have a little bit of a chat about them, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear your comments about the photos as well. By all means, if you think it's no good, tell us it's no good. We're pretty thick-skinned. Well, I know.
Can I go change my selection then? If people are going to hang shit on us, I think I might just go change them. Rightio, let me see if I can. I'm going to start with yours so people can. We'll go one for one, eh?
Okay, sounds good.
So let me see if I can. All right. Wish me luck if this works.
Okay.
Hopefully, if someone can let us know that they can see.
Oh, I see. Bang.
Can you see that?
I've got a picture on my screen, but we'll just wait a second and see if this actually goes out on the live feed as well. I've definitely got a picture on my screen.
Does it work on the live stream? Oh, there we go. It does.
It does. Good.
I'll tell you what, like just on the side, we have come a long way. I can't even say it. Technologically.
We have.
We've gone from being absolute spazzes to now actually hosting a live show with other screens.
But when we get back to my view, you'll notice I still haven't got off the 4/3 aspect ratio.
Well, that's never going to change. All right.
So
what is this shot here, Brendan?
Okay, so this was quite recent. I talked a lot about this, I think, in episode 21, episode 20, something around that, where I got to shoot my first Aurora, and I was absolutely stoked to be out there shooting an Aurora, literally 2 kilometers from my house. So this is the stairs at, I think it's 7W. Does it stay on that sign? I can't read it big enough on my thing. I can't remember. Anyway, it's down on the beach.
11W.
Sorry. Yes, 11W. It's on the beach here in Ocean Grove. We got a spike in the Aurora early warning thing, and people in New Zealand were saying the Aurora's running hot. So, and I think, Cam, you gave me the heads up as well and said there's going to be a nice old Aurora show.
Yeah.
And I was preparing to go out, and then I got a phone call from my mate Wes, who was down at Point Lonsdale, which is literally only 5 kilometers down the beach as the crow flies. And he said, "Are you out?" And I said, "No, not yet." And he said, "What are you waiting for? This is amazing." So I bolted down to the top of the stairs here. I was hoping to get to a point where there was no other photographers, and I was lucky enough to be there on my own. I like shooting on my own. And this was one of the first frames that I managed. And I love the fact that there's clouds obscuring the aurora. I think it really adds to it. I just like, I don't know, I like the different colors in the sky. I like the way that obviously the 30-second exposure has made that cloud streak a bit with the wind. So I even like the lights on the horizon, which are going to be ships out at sea. I didn't bother editing those out. And what you're looking at there is, for all intent and purposes, pretty much straight out of camera. So maybe I probably straightened the horizon because it was almost impossible to see if I was straight.
I just
shooting because it was pitch black.
I just tried to scroll through to see what the settings were. Do you remember what the settings were on this shot?
It's definitely a 30-second exposure. It would have been shot at probably around f11, and it was shot. That was shot on a Canon 700D, I think. I can't remember.
That story was going so well until you said Canon.
I know that's bad. I should know what gear I'm shooting on. I do have a lot of cameras. That's not boasting. They're all old pieces of crap, but they work well and they take photos like that. So so the reason I chose that one was it was a real highlight of my year as far as my photography was concerned. It stirred something up in me to get back out there and behind the camera again after a couple of years of absolute poo. So I really enjoyed shooting that. So that is my first photo.
Nice. Excellent. All right. That's awesome. Yeah, the aurora is amazing. Like we get it down here in Tassie, a little bit more prominent than the rest of the mainland does. So I was out on that same night and it was a cracker. It was one of the better ones we've seen down here for a long, long time. So to be able to see the aurora from, I guess, the southern coast of the mainland is pretty cool. As you said, your settings, like the settings are all pretty similar to what I use as well. I usually shoot, around about sort of 15 to 20 seconds. I usually have my aperture open a bit wider. So usually around about sort of f4 or f2.8, obviously a tripod, and ISO around about sort of 1600. So and Jenny raises a great point, not shot on an iPhone.
No, and the only sole reason, Jenny, that I didn't shoot that on the iPhone was because I left the mount for my iPhone in the car, and it was a bit of a hike back to get it. And I was a bit bummed because I really wanted to try and see what the iPhone would do with an aurora. I have actually recently tested the iPhone out on a thunderstorm and failed miserably.
Right. So maybe this iPhone idea isn't all it's cracked up to be.
There may be another photo coming.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll go to my first one then. I'll bring it up on the screen then. Moving right along. So this one that we've got here, this is a
nice camera. Nice.
Yeah. And what really got me about this, this is a place on the west coast of Tassie. These are all called petroglyphs, which are, there's actually some really ancient indigenous carvings and drawings on some of the rocks around this region. But it's an amazing part of the coastline. But a couple of things I remember about this. One, we were there as a family, which doesn't happen too often. We don't get out as a family too often. But we went up to the west coast and we just had 2 or 3 days of these epic storms coming through, which down here in Hobart, we just don't get that kind of storm action. But up there on the sort of northwest coast of Tassie, we do. But we just kept having these amazing storms come through. And I remember this point, we went for a bit of a look at these rocks, and the color in the back of the sky and the rain clouds and the storm clouds all coming through just really captured my attention. And obviously having those yellowy sort of mustardy rocks in the foreground helped. But the other thing I had with this, I was actually testing out a camera. Leica Australia actually sent me a camera to use, the SL2, with a 24 to 90 mil 2.8 lens. So really big, expensive kit. And I was just trying it out, in the midst of what I was looking to buy. And this is one of the shots I got on there. And this is actually handheld because it's got the image stabilization in it. So I was pretty impressed with that. So for those who want to have a look at it, that was a 1/4 of a second handheld. So it's pretty slow. 5.6 ISO 800, and that's 16 mil. Sorry, it was a 16 to 35 lens I had on that. So yeah, I usually would set the tripod up and do that properly, but it was one of those fleeting moments which we've discussed as well a lot on the show, where you can just have moments of light that disappear. And it really, this lasted maybe 2 minutes, this light. And I thought, well, I'm just going to shoot it. And ideally, if I went back, I'd probably have a tripod set up. I might not have the horizon as it's a little bit too centered for me for the horizon, but it was a bit of a mixture. Do I get the cool rocks in there, or do I get the cool clouds in there? And in the end, I sort of have to sort of juggle it with as wide angle as I could. So, but yeah, the west coast of Tassie, that whole coastline's riddled with these amazing rock formations. So for those who are keen, we do a Tarkine workshop at least 2 or 3, 4 times a year. So jump on board and we'll go visit these places firsthand.
Two things I want to say about that photo. One, the color of the rocks, that's very, very cool. That's pretty unique. I can't remember seeing like that much. Like quite often you'll find little pockets where you'll get lichen and stuff that'll look that sort of yellowy stuff, but a massive patch for like that. Yeah. Sort of woven into the fabric of the rocks there, because you've got the all those leading lines coming off left, right, and center.
Yeah,
that's one thing I like about it. The other thing that's really interesting is, of course, it's in portrait orientation.
Yeah.
Now we've had this conversation before, but for those of you who haven't heard, why in this case would you choose the portrait orientation on that shot, Cam?
The reason I do it in this situation is because you're using a wide angle lens. A wide angle lens has a certain field of view. So it's quite hard to explain online here, but it has a field of view where, it might be 110 degrees or 90 degrees or whatever it might be. If you're shooting horizontal, the field of view just doesn't get as much in it as if you're shooting vertical. So in this situation, with all the leading lines running out to the coast and obviously the cloud and the storm coming through, shooting horizontal, shooting vertical, and using that larger field of view of the ultra wide lens just gives more of a foreground, a bit more of an oomph, and it allows you to sort of create a lot more vanishing points with your wide angle. The other thing that we teach a lot on workshops as well is that this shot isn't the lens pointing straight out; it's pointing on about a 45-degree angle down to the ground. So what it's doing, it's sort of really opening up that field of view. So the bottom of the shot, the lens is actually pointing probably more to those yellow rocks than it is out to the horizon. So it just allows you to get more in your foreground, and there's a lot more foreground interest. And as you mentioned, those yellow rocks just catch your eye straight away. So, you get that information, and there's amazing detail in the full file as well. And it'll just allows people to work their way through those rocks, and then, hopefully they get out to those clouds and go, well, that's pretty cool as well. So
yeah, so there's a big difference between lowering your lens and tilting your lens. And what you're talking about there is less tilt.
That is lens tilt.
Lowering. Yeah.
So if you're shooting landscape photography, very often should you have your camera flat dead even. It should be level, but the actual axis of the film plane or the sensor plane and your lens, if you're pointing it straight out at a 90-degree angle to the ground, you don't get as much in there. The foregrounds don't bump up as much or just pop out as much. So I always try and tilt my camera. So literally, you're tilting the camera forward and your lens is almost pointing down to the ground, not out. So sometimes, I'll do some videos and some shots and you'll see like a side-on view of my camera, and literally the camera is on an angle pointing down.
Yeah.
So it just opens that field of view up a bit more.
Yeah. Ash has asked you a question. I saw a place called Sarah Ann's Rocks, Cam, the other day on the West Coast, similar area to this shot.
Yeah. Hey, Ash, absolutely. These rocks are probably 10 kilometers, if that, down the coast. Not even that, maybe 5 Ks from Sarah Ann Rocks. But Sarah Ann Rocks are a completely different makeup of rocks. They are giant. We're talking, 3 or 4 story high pyramids of rock. Just absolutely incredible formations on the rock. So these ones are a bit more, these are only low, these are only sort of knee high as you walk along them. But Sarah Ann Rocks is this whole entire area of about 5 kilometers of coastline, which just looks like something off Mars. It just looks ridiculously crazy. So funnily about this scene, or funny or not funny, I went back a few months after this one. I think this was in February this year. And they had a monster tide come through somewhere in April or May. And a lot of these rocks now are miles out of the water. There's all these new rocks that have been washed away and washed into the scene. So this scene looks nothing like it anymore. There's a lot more rocks in that sandy bit and a lot more patterns. But these rocks, I don't generally give the exact location away from these because they are very super sensitive. But if you Google these rocks on the West Coast, or if you really want to know where they are, let me know, and I can shoot you an email or something like that. But if you get there after the bit of rain, you can actually see the carvings that the Indigenous have put in there, thousands of years ago. It's amazing that they're just sitting there. They're sort of mostly unprotected, but pretty cool at the same time.
Nice one, mate. Very good. Love it.
Right. Next one. We'll go to the next second one of Brendan's. This must be an iPhone, this one. It's got iPhone written all over it. No. That's lovely. No, that's 2 from 2 with no iPhone.
No, and you know what? I'm so badly organized. I should, hang on. I'm going to see while I'm trying to talk. You guys just soak in the beautiful vista you've got there. And I will see if I can find that image and what I shot it on. You'd think I'd remember.
Oh, can I have a guess?
Sure.
Let me think. Yeah. I can't have lost you on my screen here. Where are you? Somewhere. Let me have a look. I'm going to say it's a. Can I ask if this is a composite?
It is 2 images.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say one image of the waterfall. I'm going to say that's around about 2 seconds exposure.
Yes.
At maybe f11, f16. And I'm going to say the second image, which is the ferns all nice and still, I'm going to say that's more around of about 30th of a second, 40th of a second, that may be the same, f8 or something like that.
Yeah, so you're pretty close. This was shot on my Sigma wide angle, so my 10 to 20 f3.5 lens. And you're exactly right. Now, the editing is awful now that I look at it. But anyway, if you've got a keen eye, you'll see where the editing's pretty crappy, but that's okay. I was sort of playing around. I'd been to this spot. This is Hopetoun Falls, which is in the Otways, not too far from me. And as you can probably see, I was there in the middle of the day. And so there was a lot of, I think they call it muffled light, where you get areas of bright and areas of shade. So it's always really tricky. But I love the effect in this photo, particularly the ferns in the foreground that are hit by the light. I really like that. And so when I was up there a few years ago and got this shot, a bit of feedback I got about it was that you could see that the ferns were getting blown around in the wind and they were blurred. So in this case, I just literally took one shot, didn't move the tripod, changed my exposure settings, banged on a ND filter and did a longer exposure shot of the waterfall and then blended the two. Yeah. Now, there's some people that don't like that. Fine, whatever, that's your thing. I think it looks really cool. I like the fact that I was able to pull off a long exposure shot during the middle of the day and get the photo that I kind of wanted. If you've ever been to this place, it's a hidden gem. You sort of, there's a car park right up the top and you can't really see the falls. There's a bit of a lookout from up there. You've got to sort of crane your neck and look through the forest to see it. Yeah. But if you take your time and head down the 222 steps to the bottom, it is absolutely magnificent. And every single time I've been there, there's been no one else there when I arrived. Normally got the place to myself for quite a while. Yeah. Funny story though, the first time I was there doing it, I was taking photos and then a good customer of mine, Sandy Goddard, appeared. Right. She was just there. And of course it was the classic, what are you doing here? It's like, well, what do you think I'm doing here? Yeah. So, of course, that's what you're doing here.
I'm going fishing. Well, you mentioned you mentioned the light in it, and that was the one thing that actually, I'm looking at it on a different screen over here. So for people that can see me, I'm not ignoring you. I actually like the light, even though, like you said, middle of the day for waterfalls is generally not when you want to go shoot waterfalls. Like unless it's a cloudy, rainy day when any time's good. But the fact that this actually looks like an early morning shot if it's done in the middle of the day, and I think what you've done really well is that you've managed that speckled light coming through the trees where it should normally be really bright and blowing out. It doesn't look like that. So I reckon it's got a really nice sort of feel to it. It's almost got a bit more of like a Queensland waterfall feel to it, not an Otways feel. It does.
Yeah, there's waterfalls up in the Gold Coast hinterland around O'Reilly's, and this definitely has that feel about it. I was really happy with it. I think as I've gotten more into it and more experience with it, I tend to be able to get better results straight out of camera without having to muck around too much with sliders in Photoshop. I think my last image, which we might have even put up on the screen another time, but of this very spot, you can tell it was just a fraction oversaturated and just, went a little bit hard on the vibrancy.
Yeah.
That, to me, looking on my screen, really reminds me of the colours that were there when I was there. So,
and I think
which is really nice.
I've certainly found over the years as well, every time, we're all learning, we're all getting better. But I find that my time in Lightroom editing is, I reckon, for any of these shots that I show tonight, it's 2 minutes. And the sliders, I think if you can shoot consistently, I consistently shoot one stop under exposing in my landscape photography just to manage the highlights. I shoot in aperture priority. I generally shoot at f16 if I'm doing big landscapes and things like that. I generally put my focus point about a third of the way into the scene. Like, there's all these things that are just habit now, where I turn the camera on, set it up, get the composition right, bang, 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 bang. And when you get into Lightroom, after you start doing that consistently, your editing is consistent. Like, some of the adjustments, regardless if it's a waterfall, an aurora, a beach shot or a mountain shot or a forest shot, the editing is always fairly similar. Like, it's a little bit of a touch here, a little bit of contrast here, play around with the highlights. Like, I'm sort of like, I feel like there's some sort of calculation with it, or some sort of magic with it, where if you shoot similar, your editing will be almost identical all the way through. And I get to the point now where I take shots, and I've been up the mountains this morning, and I come back and pick a few shots, and within 5 minutes I've got half a dozen shots that I've edited that I'm happy with, and away you go. So for those guys out there that are still learning their craft, the consistency of your shooting will roll into the consistency of your editing. If you're editing every shot completely different, then you're probably shooting every shot differently. So I'd advise to try and get more consistency out in the field and get it right in camera, and you'll find that your editing just gets streamlined and keeps getting more streamlined as you go along.
Yeah, could not agree more. So thanks for the nice comments from a couple of people there. Appreciate that.
Are you paying people for these comments? It seems like you and Mel have got a bit of a bromance going on there.
It is. It's what is it? Cash for comment.
Cash for comment. All right.
Over to you, Mr. Blake.
All right, I'll pick up my second one of the year. So this is a spot that I've been through a couple of times.
Lovely. Very moody.
Just quietly. There's a beautiful, beautiful end of the day going on out here in Hobart. So anyone in Hobart who might be watching, it's a stunning sunset out here at the moment. So this is up in the northeast of Tasmania, and these are giant myrtle trees, and they're all riddled around these plains, which is on top of a hill near Mount Victoria. And they're just majestic trees. They're just massive trees. They just got so much character. And I went up this day with Luke O'Brien, the other man who I shared the gallery behind me with, and we just hit the nail on the head. We just hit the jackpot where it was in regards to weather. There was a bit of mist around. There's a bit of fog around. The leaves and the paddocks were all a bit damp. It was just perfect, and it just made shooting so much easier. We went up a week or two before this, and we got bright sunny days in a forest, and that just ruined everything. But the conditions of here where we had the fog, it sort of just allows the trees to sort of disappear into the background whilst not losing their appeal. But yeah, these trees are huge. Like, it would take, a good dozen people to wrap around arm to arm around the bottom of the base of these trees. But again, just talking, this is a horizontal shot. Again, the camera would have been tilted probably slightly down to that root system in the foreground just to really bring that into the frame. And it was more of a cross section of this forest that I wanted to take a shot of. But yeah, this one sticks with me because the trees are just incredible and the conditions were just perfect for what we needed. So we got these shots back, and both Luke and I were really quite happy with what we got. And that's the thing, like, you can sort of tick off these places you want to go. And, if you get the conditions lined up, you might only have to go there once or twice to get the shot you're looking for.
Yeah. Matt Bissett has just said, great photos, guys. Great show. Unfortunately, I've got to go. Talk soon. Thanks, Legend.
Thanks, Matt.
See you, Matt.
Talk soon.
We will be putting this up. Well, it'll stay up on our YouTube channel, but I'll also be putting the audio up, which is going to be really weird. Anyone listening to this right now is like, I can't see the photos, dudes. But hey, it is a photography show, and
use your imagination.
Yeah. Well, how about we give them 1,000 words?
Yeah, picture tells 1,000 words. That's all you get.
Yeah, you're definitely getting that.
Yeah, I tell you what though, I have a couple of prints of this. sitting there. How do we give away a print? How are we going to do that?
How do we give away a print? I'm sure we can give away a print somehow. How about anyone who is watching this now live, and it says to me that there's 18 people watching this show live at this very point in time.
Yep.
Can we somehow incorporate those 18 people in with a chance to win one of Cam's prints? I'm sure we can.
I reckon we can.
Tell you what, leave a comment now. If you can, leave a comment now. Anyone who leaves a comment in this section, we're going to pick one of you out at random, and Cam's going to send you a print.
So I want to print, Cam, and just put it in the comments. And
I want to print, Cam.
And we'll randomly pick out. And if there's only one person that comments, then that person gets it. But I've got a print.
That's pretty cool.
It's about a 15 by 24 or 16 by 24 inch print of this. And it looks smick. It's unframed and unmatted, but I can roll it up and put it in the post for you tomorrow, and you'll have it by the end of the week. So
it'd be very awkward if no one comments.
No one has commented yet, so maybe we'll comment now. Oh, there we go.
Hey, bang!
Andrew. Well, okay. Well, you're winning at the moment, Andrew. Good job,
Andrew. You are clubhouse leader.
But I'm coming up to Andrew. I'm coming up to Melbourne 22nd to the 28th.
Yeah.
So I'll be in touch.
Craig has literally left a comment.
Yeah, Craig would do that.
Yep. Well, there you go.
Pick me.
Jenny's in. Oh, now, okay. Andrew, you've gone from clubhouse leader to 4, 5. Oh, my goodness. We're now they're flooding in. I want to print, Cam.
Mel wants a beer.
We go.
Kev, he wants a print.
Tanina's
been disqualified. She's been disqualified.
Yeah. And this one's how come I'm not on the screen? Put me back up. I've got something to show Tanina. There you go. Anyway. It's my stubby holder.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. There we go.
Now, well, hang on. Before you move on from that photo, it's cool. How cool is the gigantic roots? I mean, that was obviously the thing that caught your eye immediately, but the way you've got some really awesome conditions. I mean, the mist just fading into nothingness beyond the silhouettes of the trees in the background. That's that is pretty cool.
And I plug this to every person that comes on my workshops. At time of day and conditions, the easiest way to improve your landscape photography is just go to these places at the right time in the right conditions. You know, the weather forecasts these days are generally pretty good. They'll give you a pretty good indication of what's going on. So, you know, if next week, if you've got rain and showers and cloudy conditions, then go to your favorite waterfall. You know, that's the best time to go to a waterfall. If you've got some nice summery weather coming, then the coastal mornings, you know, sunrise on the coast, or, you know, a coastal sunset, you know, that's the way to go. So like I said, Luke O'Brien and I went up here a week before, and we didn't look at the weather. Well, we did look at the weather, and we thought we'll go anyway, but we knew it wasn't going to be the best conditions. We went up there. I think we took 3 shots, and then we went to the pub pretty much. The next week we went up there, and we knew it was going to be really good conditions, and we'll just, like, you know, we were done within an hour. Like, this is a really big area, and we were done within an hour with shots we were happy with. So, so, and there's these places riddled with these trees. We've found more, and it's a pretty common place that people who know it in the northeast of Tassie. But there's a little walking circuit you can go around these plains, and there's probably about a dozen of these trees, but they are just massive. They look like something out of Harry Potter. Someone with some better Photoshop skills than me, you know, if you're a bit of a creative landscape, you know, sort of shooter, you could get in there and do some really amazing creative compositions and things like that as well. So
did you already say what kind of trees they are?
They're giant. They're myrtle trees, Myrtle Beach trees.
They're Myrtle Beach. Okay. Okay,
but
cool.
They are massive. They must be, I think, based on what we saw or read, I think they'd be around about sort of 600 to 800 years old, these trees.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, and that's funny because in Tassie they're young trees. We've got Hue and Pine on the west coast. It's up to 4,000 years old. So
wow,
it's pretty cool. But that was shot f11 ISO 100, 3 seconds because it was quite dark in there. A polarizer. This is something else that even on the Tarkon workshop just recently, people keep in the forest. People keep asking, "Should I keep my polarizer on?" 100%, hell yeah, because every single bit of foliage, every bit of ground, every leaf, every bit of root, it's all reflecting skylight, and the polarizing filter will take out that sort of reflective light, and it gives you that true green sort of forestry color that you don't normally get with those reflections. So I always say keep it on until the stars come out. That's my advice. So yeah, all right. We'll move on to your third one. This must be the iPhone one then.
Let's have a look.
No.
So no.
You built it up for no.
I'm messing with you. None of my shots were shot with my iPhone. However, in hindsight, I should have totally put one up because I did get some actually cracking shots with the iPhone. But hey, let's save that for 2022.
Yeah.
This is far from the best photo I've ever taken. It's far from a good photo, really. But it talks to me because I shot this photo at the peak of one of Victoria's lockdowns.
Oh yes.
When you were still allowed to surf for exercise, the surfing was considered exercise.
Yep.
This is my beach at Ocean Grove. And it's one of those things where I wanted to throw this one up on the screen because I've started doing a lot more of using telephoto lenses for the landscape within the landscape thing, as you've mentioned a few times. And I had a good conversation with Ash on his podcast, our podcast that he was on a couple of weeks ago about doing this. And about how zoom lenses can help you frame a shot, like with the trees in the foreground, that sort of stuff. Yes, there is a really silly seagull at the top of the photo.
I did see him, yes.
Yeah, but when you look at the photo, if you have a look at the top left of this photo, you will see a big ass building.
I did see that. It looks like a big house, or
that is the Barwon Heads Golf Club.
All right.
Now, people who know the area would look at this and go, hang on, how can that possibly be the Barwon Heads Golf Club? And it looks like it is just there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you from where I stood to where the Barwon Heads Golf Club, that is 8 kilometres to that.
Yeah. Okay.
8 Ks away. It's amazing how the lens compression that you get.
Yeah.
So this is from the Ocean Grove lookout, if anyone is local and they know it. So it's a long way across to the Barwon Heads Golf Club.
Yeah.
And just that lens compression that it gives you. So and you'll also notice it almost looks monochrome. It was just a really overcast day. It was getting late in the day. This is not a monochrome shot. This was shot in color.
Yeah.
But everything was just so flat about the image. And I don't know, there was just something about it. And I can't, to be honest, really put my finger on what I like about it. And I think it was more to do with the mood I was in rather than the actual photo itself. So,
well, I think, like you said, it definitely captures a moment in your year where, people are surfing and that's the only thing they can sort of do. But I think, you're right. It does look monochrome, but it's
so can I just make a quick correction? I said 8 kilometers. It's 4 kilometers away, Brendan. I'll just have another drink. It's 4 kilometers away, not 8. I don't know why I kept saying 8. It's 8 kilometers from my house, not from
it's 8
where
kilometers.
I took that photo.
It's 8 kilometers there and back. So the light has to the light has to technically travel 8 Ks.
That's right.
Yeah,
you got me. That's exactly what I meant.
And I like the fact that, and this is something again that goes across all genres of photography, especially if you're shooting long lenses. So anyone's listening, we all shoot landscape, but occasionally you'll get Auntie Joe, Uncle, whoever wanting to shoot their portrait shot or shoot your niece's wedding or something like that. You'll get someone asking you to shoot wedding. And one of the easiest things you can do to make your photos a bit more interesting, especially with portraits photography, is actually shoot through foliage like you've done here, like sort of frame things up with foliage at a real shallow depth of field. So using like an f4 and f2.8 on the long lens, you can actually get some magical shots through foliage and, get surfers sharp or get the bride walking down the aisle sharp or whatever it might be. So shooting through foliage, even in forests and things like that, you could have a tree that's deep in the forest, use a 200 mil, but shoot it through like the sort of gaps in the fern, and you can use the fern to sort of frame up all your tree. So don't ever discount your longer lens in landscape. You should always have one in the bag because they do come in handy and they do create shots that are different.
I know a certain wedding photographer based in Torquay who is getting more and more famous by the day because he's been on our podcast, that uses that very technique to his advantage when shooting weddings. And he's got some very, very cool shots doing that.
We're just going to rename this next year the Down South Ash Show.
The Down South Ash Hughes Photo Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. No, that's enough. I think he's got enough.
Yeah.
All right. I think he'll have to start paying us, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do something. Like we're plugging him. We're plugging him a lot. We're plugging him more than we're plugging ourselves. All right, moving on. Okay, that's cool. I like the seagull too. His photo.
It was just something different. I don't know. As I say, I'm not sure why I like it, but it speaks to me, and maybe I'll go and buy it off the photographer and hang it on my wall.
Yeah, you should. You should do
should.
Yeah. All right, the next shot I'm going to show, which is the last shot of mine, is only recent. Like, it's actually since our last podcast. So people wouldn't have probably seen this on this podcast. So this is a shot which I quite like. So this is of Tasman Island on the Tasman Peninsula.
Round of applause. Give it up for Cam. Yeah. Woo!
How many beers you had?
That's a cracker, mate.
Yeah. So again, sometimes I'm just very lucky. My friend Chelsea had some. Ash is still waiting for his podcast check to clear. He waited a while. So I was lucky enough to get invited into a chopper flight over the south coast or Tasman Peninsula by my good friend Chelsea, who had some family and friends down and had an extra seat. Said, "Look, jump in the chopper." We were originally going to do doors off, but in the end, they gave us a bigger chopper where you could just open half the window and shoot out the window, which is just as good. And we got down there right on sunrise. So this is a sunrise shot of the Tasman Peninsula and the Lighthouse. And behind it, you have Cape Pillar, which is part of the Three Capes walk down here, which is the little narrow sort of bit in the middle of the island, just behind the middle of the island, called the Blade. You can actually walk out to the edge of that and get a beautiful shot looking back this way. And then you've got Cape Hoy up further popping out. But what I really loved about this shot, out of all the ones I took, was the cloud. The cloud is what sort of drew me into this shot. That sort of reference of the cloud above the island, it sort of marries into the island a bit. It's just this sort of random sort of couple of clouds that are sitting there on almost a perfectly good start to the day. So, but yeah, it was really cool. We had this amazing chopper pilot, David, from Tasmania Air Tours. And literally, he was our guide. He goes, "Where do you want to go? Where do you want to sit? Where do you want the chopper? How high do you want me to be? How far out do you want me to be?" So we just said, "Oh, well, look, just back it up a bit, set us here." So we just literally sat the chopper there so we could just hover there and watch what was going on. And then turn the chopper the other way so the person on the other side could get a shot. So it was an amazing experience. But we just had perfect conditions. And we'd actually cancelled this flight or postponed this flight 2 or 3 times in that last week to get the weather right. So again, this is a bit more of a unique situation, but getting that right in camera with the right conditions, if we went up there, it was cloudy, you just don't get that kind of shot. So, again, getting to the right spot at the right time of the right weather. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool, I like it. It's a really cool shot. And guess what? I've also got a print of this as well. Do we want to give another one away? I did a lot of printing last week and I've got multiple prints of stuff. And I feel like our dudes and dudettes. Yeah. So if you haven't already commented,
so the first person that comments, no, not the first, but no, we don't need any more comments. It's fine. If you like this one,
yeah, we'll pick someone at random.
Anyone who's liked it, we'll pick it out.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolute cracker, mate. That is a very, very good photo. Yeah, sure. You were lucky to be up in a chopper. I get all that, but how's the light hitting the cliffs and the little cloud up above? Yeah, sort of almost mirrors the peninsula's jutting out to the ocean.
It does.
So that's very, very cool.
Yeah, and I don't really look for those kind of things in photos. Like, it's not something I consciously do. But this one, I just shot it, and on the back of the camera, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And on my screen here, like on the print, it looks, I don't know what it looks like on people's screen, but the color is actually a bit warmer and a bit more saturated on the color of the cliff. So it actually does look like a really great start to the day. So yeah, we'll pick some. Like I said, I've got my new printer. I've had a few weeks now, and I've just been printing off some test shots and things like that. And I've got a few of these I did, which I like. So yeah, we might give one of these away as well to the people listening. Jason just said he got back. I knew you were going to say that, but Jason has just got back from a sunset shot, and I asked him where it was. So he's been at Port Fairy. So this isn't Port Fairy where he's been shooting. Is Port Fairy. Yeah, but the light was perfect. Yeah, and I don't think I've ever been up in a chopper when the sun's popped up over the line at the other side. It just popped up and all the cliffs just lit up. We buzzed around the other side of the island, and my friend Chelsea's already had a message from someone saying, "Thanks for waking us up. at 5 o'clock on whatever day it was with the chopper, because we were literally hovering around here for 45 minutes. It's just flying up and down the peninsula. So all these poor people trying to get a sleep in. Well, no, not going to happen. That pissed them right off.
Oh, well. Well, that's where, But, I mean, you look at that shot, though. Like, you're not going to get a drone there.
No, you're not. And that's the thing. And, getting into a chopper, shooting out of a chopper is a little bit more of a different experience. This was actually shot with a 50mm lens. So it's not a wide angle. It's not a telephoto. I had a polarizer on it. You really got to watch your shutter speeds in a chopper or a plane, because the chopper is moving. You don't want you want your shutter speed to be above your focal length, just so it makes sure, if you're shooting at 50mm, I think I was shooting this at like 2/50th of a second. And you want to make sure you get the shot, because, you only get up there once really. So
no, absolute cracker. I'm actually looking at that lighthouse and wondering why it doesn't resonate with me. Like, why haven't I seen loads more photos of that lighthouse? Because that's pretty spectacular.
It is. You can actually go down to that island. It is a spectacular place, but they have lighthouse keepers that go down there. But yeah, you don't see many shots. Usually it's obviously just a helicopter shot. You do see there's a company called Pennycots, which do yellow speedboat tours all along that coastline. And they actually they actually come down around the island, and you check it from sea level. But yeah, you don't get too many shots from up in the sky. You see a few, but yeah, you don't. It's not as common shots that you see down here. But yeah, it's I think you can zoom in. It's a bit blurry, that bloody when you're zooming in. But yeah, there's a couple of houses down there and a few other things down there.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, fantastic.
That's like
actually that's holding up pretty well even on a crappy Zoom chat. So.
Yeah, it's like a 400% zoom thing. Awesome. But so yeah, it's cool. It was a good chopper flight. It was good fun.
Well, that was excellent. I really enjoyed that. That was good talking and having a bit of a look back at the photos that we've enjoyed taking this year. And we're back with our faces now, folks. Apologies. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I can't hide any longer behind some nice photos.
No.
And I thought we're out well and truly over the hour mark now. So believe it or not, where is that hour gone, Cam?
I know.
It's because we can talk under wet cement with a mouthful of marbles. Interesting that Jason commented saying Port Fairy. Port Fairy is one of my all-time favourite parts of Victoria.
Yeah.
Not just for photography. It's actually a stunning part of the world just to go and to get away and get off grid. And my wife and I and the kids will be down there for the last week of January, hopefully.
Nice.
And I rent a house down there for a week.
Well, I'll give a shout out to a very dear friend of ours. You might know her. You might not. She worked at Camera Action for a while. Stacey Woods. I don't know if you remember Stacy.
I know of Stacy. I don't think our paths crossed, but I do know of Stacy. Yes.
So Stacey Woods Photography. She's based in Port Fairy. Wedding photographer, portrait photographer, landscape photographer. Absolute legend of a person. Have all the time in the world for Stace. She's one of my dearest friends. So yeah, it's a lovely part of the world. And yeah, I've actually got a lot of good friends along that coastline now I think about it.
Yeah.
You've got your hand on the balcony there. You've done it very well.
I'm just leaning on my balcony here down at the
beach.
Looks like I can't believe the colour in this sunset's just hung around for so long.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
just there.
Are you living out? Are you living in the northern hemisphere, right up near the poles?
And this whole time we're sitting there and we're going, I can't believe you haven't put up an iPhone photo. Well, guess what that is?
Oh, that's an iPhone photo. Right.
That is an iPhone photo. I forgot that was actually shot on the iPhone.
Yeah, Jason said, "Sing out for a coffee, mate, while you're down there."
Sounds like a plan, Jason. I love Port Fairy, and there's numerous reasons. One, the photography. Two, as I said, the off-grid stuff. And come the end of January, I will be looking for a break.
Yeah.
The other thing, Cam, which I know this will speak to you about Port Fairy, is its golf course. Mm-hmm. Oh my lordy, what a golf course! Right. Have you ever played Port Fairy, Cam?
I think you know what I've actually played golf at Port Fairy, and I've actually represented the Port Fairy Penguins in cricket.
Oh my goodness!
I've actually played a game of cricket for them. I was an import. Stacey's husband, Steve. I don't know if I asked or he wrangled me in. I don't know, but I think I opened the bowling for him, and I remember I bowled absolute tripe.
Nice.
I just got, and I went out and made bugger all runs. Like I was meant to be, some sort of special bowler, and
Well,
I rocked up and bowled poo.
At the risk of losing every single listener right now who's tuned in for a landscape photography show, a really quick story about the Port Fairy Golf Club. I follow them on Twitter, and about 3 or 4 years ago, they tweeted a very simple tweet that just said, we would like to congratulate the winner of today's Stableford competition, M. Leishman, with a score of 44 points off a handicap of +7.
He's a pro, isn't he?
He's from Warrnambool, Mark Leishman, who now plays on the PGA Tour. And I'll say that again, 44 points off a handicap of +7.
So that's not scratch, that's +7 of scratch.
Correct. That's the other way.
So he's actually had about 53 points.
He's got to actually have 7 birdies to break even.
Yeah. Right.
It was ridiculous. Anyway, sorry guys, I digress.
Yeah, I think our numbers just went from 18 to 2.
Yeah, I'm a golf tragic. My bad.
Now, do we want to maybe quickly open it up? I know we're getting through time. I'm in no hurry to go anywhere. I don't know what you are, but do we want to open up to any questions that people might have that are pending?
I'm happy to run this, and I'm happy to run this through to about 9:30. So it's
that's
local Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
Yeah,
about 20 minutes or so. So that's fine. If anyone's got any questions, anyone's got a deer cam, you want to shoot it through now, we can do that live. That's fine. Questions about gear, questions about maybe you might be looking at buying a lens, you might be looking at cameras, that sort of stuff. While you're getting your questions into us, we might not get any. That's fine. That's part of the nature of the beast. I thought I'd ask you, Cam, what you were looking forward to photographically in 2022.
That's a good one. A lot of questions without notice tonight, isn't there?
That's what a live show is all about, buddy.
2022, I've got a lot of stuff on. I've got a lot of workshops going, which is great. So pretty much every one of my workshops in 2022 is going. Numbers are growing. Some have sold out. So that's awesome. I think I am looking forward to shooting the Flinders Ranges. I'm going to the Flinders Ranges in July and September.
Fantastic.
So I'm looking forward to getting back up there. But I've been talking to a really good friend of ours, Glenn Lavender, as you will know him well.
The GL.
The GL. A couple of that's not a cider, Michelle. Thank you for noticing. I got shit hung on me the other day by another photographer about drinking cider. That's another story. So Glenn and I were going to India last year to do a trip. Well, it looks like we're going to go do that again late next year. So if all goes well, November next year, Glenn and I are doing a 14-day trip to India. Right. And I've never been to India. So I don't know what I'm in for. So, and I'm traveling with Glenn, who knows what I'm in for. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I guess, underlying, I think it's just going to be nice to hopefully get people from the big island down to this little island again. Our borders open in 3 days, and if you don't think people are panicking down here about these borders opening, it is off the charts. Anxious. Like everyone's just everyone's chomping at the bit to get down here, and everyone down here is chomping at the bit to keep the borders closed. So it's going to be a very interesting Christmas period and January, and see how it all goes. I think it'll go fine. I think everyone's doing it enough these days, and taking the precautions they need. But I am looking forward to getting a lot of mainlanders back down. I'm actually going to, I saw Cheryl was on here, Cheryl from Perth, WA. I'm actually going to Perth in March to run an Olympus day and also do a 2 or 3 day workshop with Sang Ma down in the southwest. I might look up our old mate down there, see if he wants to catch up for a beer.
Yeah.
He may or may not want us to catch up. There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to, but I think overall it's just going to be nice to get people back from the mainland back into Tassie and showcase this amazing spot. Jenny wants to do a live show from India.
Wow. As long as we call it Get That India.
Get That India. I was going to drop that joke before when I said I hadn't been to India. But maybe we could do a live show from India. So
I think that'd be pretty awesome. Or Ash, if you're still listening, we'll book you in for a couple of shows in November, mate.
Step up, Ash.
We'll keep you on standby.
The check might have cleared by then. You never know. What about you? What are you looking forward to next year?
Well, jeepers. Like most people, and like you've touched on, the normality. I'm looking forward to getting back to normal. I'm definitely very, very much looking forward to getting my workshops back off the ground again, and possibly even expanding them into. I've been wanting to do it forever, but of course, being running 2 retail outlets and having a young family like yourself and everything that goes on, it's hard to find the time.
Yeah.
But I would dearly love to run a Ballerina photography tour. I think that would be really cool because I know the Ballerina Peninsula really well, and I can get people to the locations, a couple of secret locations, that I've discovered living in the local area. I feel like it's something I would be good at. So because I enjoy doing the workshops, and I also enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy showing off my backyard. So I'm talking minibus, sunrise at one place, lunch somewhere, sunset at another place, like literally a full day workshop where we do that sort of stuff. But that's in the back of my mind. But I think primarily it's just getting those entry level workshops, getting people back into photography. Creating some new customers along those lines as well, where people are printing their photos with me and that sort of stuff. So, and I know we've got a quick deer cam that has just come through, so you're going to touch on that in a sec.
I saw that.
However, it is the season to be giving. The giveaway that I want to do.
You're giving away a Canon, aren't you?
I am giving away a 16 by 24 inch canvas of one of your photos, not you, Cam, but one of our listeners / viewers' photos. You've seen enough of our photos, guys. I'm sure you guys have got great photos of your own that you would like to chuck up on the wall. So I'm going to edit it for you. I'm going to print it professionally for you, and I'm going to ship it to you. So what I'll do, I'm going to let this run for about another week. And if you're listening to this, but it's not live, feel free to leave a comment below that you would like a canvas print. So we want you to say, I want a canvas print. I will go through all the comments that say that, and I will pick one out at random, and I will send you one of your photos. You can choose whatever photo you want. There's no hurry to do it. We can do it in January or whatever. I'm going to send you your own photo to you, printed on canvas that you can chuck up on your wall. How about that?
This is just the most amazing giveaway show of all time, isn't it?
Well, it's Christmas.
It is Christmas. It's the season to be an arsehole. I mean, it's the season to be giving.
What does Hans Gruber say on Die Hard? It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles.
That's right. You don't know it's Christmas until you see Die Hard on TV.
The best Christmas movie of all time. There will be no arguments. The best Christmas movie of all time.
Well, you know what? There will be an argument. Christmas.
Die Hard 2. No,
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
It's up there. It's in the conversation. That's on the podium.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
Die Hard 2, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Ash said he won't be able to help you in November because he's coming to India with me. So
good.
That's good.
I think Ash is actually going to be in Broome or somewhere. He's going around Australia next year.
Oh, no,
that's 2020. That might be 2023. I think I've got that wrong. Anyway, whatever.
There's a few people.
I reckon he's heading off at the end of next year.
There's a few people that want a canvas print, and there's also a lot of people that want a Ballerina photo tour.
Awesome.
Can I come to that?
Yes, you can run it.
Right, well, it's your peninsula.
True. It'd be like me coming and doing a Tarkine workshop.
Yeah, it would be. If you like, come to Cradle Mountain and run a workshop for me.
Yeah, that's right.
A waterfall workshop would be cool. Keep an eye on that, Jason, because I might be running one of them down here with another photographer who's one of the BFOP Bright Festival of Photography instructors. So if you know
Jason, talk to me, Jason, because that's another thing. Like because Jason's at Port Fairy and we've got the Otways in between us. So that's something that we can look at us just spitballing and seeing what comes out.
Yeah. And Kev wants another print. And Ash agrees with me, National Lampoons. You know what, Ash? I don't think we need Brendan in this podcast anymore. I reckon you and I could probably run this thing. Seems like we have a lot of common interests, a lot of common.
Absolutely.
We could just have Brendan as a guest every now and then.
You mean I get a week off?
Well, you haven't had a week off yet, have you?
No. Well, I have, only because I haven't been able to run the bloody thing, but that's all right. Yes,
Tanina, we are going on the Franklin. I get back, I think I get back a few days and then I've got to go on the Franklin. I go to India. So it's going to be a busy, hopefully we get back off the Franklin. But yes. So up in the comments, we did have waiting on an email for the India trip, Cam. It's coming, Kev, once we get everything organised. But Kev's a local photographer here in Hobart.
This is Kev Morse you're talking about?
Kev Morse and his lovely wife, Libby, who just had a wedding anniversary. And Kev didn't make her buy dinner. What a guy. He actually bought her dinner for her. It's amazing. Nice, are you gonna tee this up, are you?
Well, yeah, because I read the Dear Cams, right? It's not Dear Brendan, it's Dear Cam. So this is
okay.
A Dear Cam. This is from Kev Morse, who's
I'll act surprised.
Kev Morse, who's collecting heaps of royalty for that code that he invented 200 years ago. Is
that a Morse code joke?
You didn't have to actually say it. I think the listeners were across it. Cam, Dear Cam, I tried my hand at birds in flight photography with my Olympus EM1 Mark II and 40 to 150 with 1.4, I'm assuming that's the 1.4 teleconverter.
Yep.
And failed to get focus in many cases. Any tips? The tricky one, Cam.
It is a tricky one, and you're not going to like my answer, Kev, because if there's one thing that I'm an Olympus fanboy, I love Olympus to death. If there's one thing that lets Olympus down to me, is their autofocus. It's, if we marry it up against the Sonys, the Canons, the Nikons, and you go back 10 years time, the autofocus is incredible on the Olympus, but it does seem to, and I've had the same issue shooting fast moving wildlife. It does sometimes search a bit and have a bit of an issue with it. So, excuse me, with, shooting it, probably 300 mil with a 1.4 converted. So you're shooting at 400 mil or so. Obviously you want to make sure your shutter speed was high enough. Your ISO might have to be bumped up a bit. One thing I used to do with my stuff when I was shooting Olympus and birds and, Formula One at Albert Park, same sort of thing, fast moving objects. If you're shooting, for example, where Brendan is off the coast and you're shooting birds out, flying around on there, you could always go into manual focus and set the focus to infinity, because the infinity focus is probably going to, if they're a long way out and you're shooting at 400 mil, the infinity focus is probably going to catch them in flight and be sharp. If they're getting close or moving, coming to you then coming away, that's a different story. But you could try that. You could try manual focus and setting it at a further distance. I know Olympus on the Mark, did he say what camera it was? The Mark II?
EM1 Mark II.
So the Mark III has some of the AI features, so the auto intelligence focusing features where it actually recognizes birds. And I must admit, from the Mark II to the Mark III, I have seen a considerable difference in improvement in the focusing on faster moving and smaller objects.
Which begs the question, can Kev do a firmware upgrade to his Mark II and get that feature, or is it just not available in the Mark II that we know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think they're firmware updates. So my option for you, Kev, would be, again, depending on where the birds were, you could always go into manual focus and try and shoot it and set the focus to infinity if they're far enough distance away. If that's not the case, then you might just have to try a bit harder. Because I must admit, the Olympus ones, when I used to do sports in Melbourne and, birds on the coastline that I do down here, or wallabies hopping around Cradle Mountain, they're good, but they do miss sometimes. And, that's just the way they are, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully that gives you maybe a bit of a tip, Kev, or maybe not.
Kev, the only thing I would like is a little bit more information from Kev. We don't know, was it low light? Were the conditions pretty ordinary anyway? Always best if you can shoot particularly anything fast moving, but bird life in particular, in broad daylight. So you've got maximum light, so you can shoot at faster shutter speeds, of course. So but
well, Kev, I know Kev just went to Norfolk Island. Actually, he just got back from Norfolk Island, maybe a couple of weeks away. A couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it can be one of those things. Also one thing I also change is if I'm shooting birds or animals, I don't use like a crosshair, or I don't use a autofocus selection of multiple points. I use a single point autofocus. So then I actually use it like I'm actually shooting a rifle or a sniper. Like I'll shoot the bird with right in the middle. So sometimes that does fasten up the shutter speed, the autofocus a bit more. So if you're letting the camera choose your focus point, then you might, if there's a cloud or a bit of contrast difference behind the bird or the animal, it might pick up the background and not the foreground. So that's another thing, Kev. You could always put it on single point focus and shoot it like you're shooting it with a gun, which sounds terrible, but same theory.
No, we get it. We get it.
Cool.
And thank goodness, Kev, that we didn't just explain that whole thing in just a series of dots and dashes. So moving right along, it is getting relatively close to time. But I think the other main reason I wanted to do this live show tonight, because I know full well I wouldn't have had time to edit a regular show, was to thank everyone. I wanted to thank everyone who has given us encouragement to continue with this little venture. I can see it going places in 2022. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to in 2022. And that is keeping going with this show, exploring new avenues with this show, guest hosts and things like that, and getting people on. Off air, Cam and I made a little wish list of a few photographers who we would like to see on the show. So maybe we can tick a few of those off next year. And it's not, and I think the reasons, I know personally, the reasons that we want to expand the show are nothing to do with getting clicks and likes and numbers and financially. It's actually for the enjoyment that the show gives us, and keeps us sort of rooted in the industry as well. Like it's a cool vibe around this joint. So I really like it. And as I say, I wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has tuned in, sent us a comment, hit the like button, subscribed, all that sort of malarkey. So it's been awesome. And who knows, next year, other than camera and photo and Cam Blake photography, we might actually have a Fair Income sponsor on board. That'd be pretty cool.
Nah, that won't happen.
Someone who can at least cover my Adobe license to edit this friggin' thing.
Adobe, if you're looking. Kev said it was good light, shutter speed faster than the thousandths of a second, ISO auto. Right. Okay. What were you shooting, Kev? Were they like little fighter birds, the things that don't stand still? What's the fastest bird in the world? It's like a falcon or something.
Something.
And I'll tap onto that as well, Brens. It's been awesome. Is this the last show we're doing for the year? Have we even decided that, or have we?
I think it's highly likely we will sneak one in between Christmas and New Year, because there is a week in there, and that's when things will simmer down a bit for me. So if you're available, Cam, I know you are heading my way. So
maybe we could do it one in the same room.
No, that would be weird.
All right, then guess that's no. Then
that would just
Ash. What are you doing next week, Ash? Do you want to do a podcast together? You seem like you want to hang out.
I think that would be awkward. I think we would literally have to go into a room.
We would
next to
we wouldn't be able to do it. And again, I want to thank everyone who subscribed. Like I said, we've got 200 odd people that subscribe, which is, again, it's a lot more than what we thought. As you touched on, Brens, this is not about us trying to make money. It's nice if people buy prints off us or book a workshop. That's just an added bonus, but it's more about just getting the conversation out there about photography, landscape photography, talking about gear. You know, we're just two normal blokes who work in the industry. You know, we check our egos at the door most days, and we just enjoy what we're doing. So I think we'll get another show in before the end of the year. But again, next year, I'm looking forward to it. We get some extra guests on here. A sponsor would be great. And I'd love to get a workshop or a day trip or a weekend trip going together up your way. That'd be awesome.
Definitely. And likewise, some dude's got to get his ass down to Tasmania.
Yeah, there's a lot of asses that need to get down to Tasmania that I know of that don't come down, but that's how it is. So thank you for everyone who listens in, and I love the banter and I love the engagement from a lot of our regulars. I think that's great, and if we can grow on that, even better. But hopefully, if we don't do another show before Christmas, hopefully everyone has a wonderful, safe, and happy Christmas with all their families, and hopefully Santa brings you a nice big new lens or a tripod or an Olympus. So.
Or a canvas print. Who's Olympus? Who's this Olympus you speak of?
OM Systems. Kev said, thanks, Cam. Maybe I should get a longer lens for my Canon R6.
It's going to take a while for the whole OM system thing to. I personally, nothing against OM system. I think it's a shocking name. I really don't.
It doesn't work, does it?
It's not going to grow on anything, is it? OM system. What even is that? I mean,
I don't get what it is. If they just called it OM or OM cameras or something like that. OM photographics or something like that, or
Yeah. But OM system, it doesn't. I don't know. It's just it sounds more like an Xbox or something rather than.
But having
anyway,
said that, thank you so much to the OM system guys who support me heavily throughout the year.
Yes.
And like I said,
let me just put out that little fire that I started for you.
There's an asterisk down the bottom. Just having said that, quickly, if anyone's interested, on my website, I've actually just put up a whole heap of Olympus days down here in Tassie. So there's about 6 or 7 we're doing across next year. They're single days. I've got a whole kit of
system days.
OM system days. They're still called Olympus days, but that's for now. So if you're interested, you want to come down to Tassie for a quick weekend, check out the dates. We're going to all sort of corners of them. But yeah, it's been a great year, and I'm really happy we did this, Brens. I think it's OM Digital. Is it OM Digital? Yeah, it is OM. That's a better idea, Craig. No,
that's
it's great.
What it should be.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm in Melbourne from the 22nd to the 28th. If you're around the Melbourne area, or let me know. If I always have to catch up for a bit. Can we have a beer in Melbourne? What are you allowed to do?
Oh, mate, it's open slather in Melbourne, mate.
Oh, is it? Okay.
We're at like 97% or something.
Right, so it's the wild.
You want, really.
It's the wild west.
Mate, there's even going to be a streaker at the Boxing Day test. I think it's a really proper open slather now.
Hey, Hobart's got a test.
That's brilliant. And that's the only place it should have gone to as well.
Absolutely. Agree.
This malarkey of giving the MCG another test. No, Senator. Hobart's a wonderful test venue.
Yeah, it'll get washed out, but it's a great venue.
Well, it's a pink ball test as well. Look, here we go. We've gone into sport, which is our other love. This is not the Down South Sport Show.
Jesse says they still call Woolworths Safeway. So do I.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact for you, Jesse. They used to call Safeway down here Purity. It just sounds wrong. I'm not shopping at Purity. It sounds like you're shopping for something that's got nothing to do with groceries.
Maybe Olympus should call themselves Purity.
OM Purity.
It's right. better than OM System. I'm sorry, I can't say that anymore.
I've still got some beer left.
I'm burning bridges for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you sell Olympus cameras. You can't.
I do. I sell a lot of Olympus cameras. Well, I sell a few.
I reckon I sell more than you.
You probably do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's how good my night's going.
Oh dear, that's got a head like a beaten favourite.
Yeah. All right. Again, thanks for everyone. It's been awesome. I'm not closing the show. Brendan does that, but we'll hopefully get back for a show before the end of the year. But if not, have a great Christmas and all that kind of jazz.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all, to you and yours and your family. Stay safe, all that sort of stuff. We will sneak a show in between Christmas and New Year, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to roll into 2022 with the Down South Photo Show coming at you in your face and in your ears for another year. Really looking forward to continuing this on. So that's all from you, Cam?
That is. I'll give you a call straight after this so we can debrief, because I know I'll have to end this live one. We don't want to debrief live. I don't think that goes down well.
No, it doesn't work well if we debrief live.
No, it doesn't. But hopefully everyone's enjoyed it. It's been great to
sounds like we're about to have an after party, Cam, are we?
Well, if this ever gets proper, it will. All right. Yeah. Lovely.
Nice one. All right, great. Good guys. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in and giving up the Sunday night. We shall see you between Christmas and New Year.